Just did right now.
What? Wait, so you just started?
I just started.
I'm
Oh,
so confused.
all right. Hello, everybody. So we'll just kind of like the first minute or two. We'll just make sure that we're live and everything's working accordingly. Are we watching the stream right now, or can you just double check? I know there's like a delay too, so people might not be able to respond until like 10 seconds from now, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's working fine." Like, so the questions are really, can you guys hear us? Can you hear Kaylin?
What?
And then, can you see me painting? That's it. These are the only things I need to know. And if we're good, then we're good.
Okay. All right. So we can start now. We can start questions and stuff.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's just I'll kind of we'll go right into Q&A session for sure. But before that, I just wanted to kind of say thanks again to all those who are watching. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate y'all. The whole stream things I've been on and off for like the last 2 years, and there'd be days where I'm just like, I'm gonna do this every Monday, and then I did for a while, but then I stopped because of life, and then every time I do that, I feel bad because I'm just like, I just need to do more streams, not only because it's good for me to kind of just do it and have fun with it, but it's a lot of people really enjoy them, right? They enjoy when you and I are here hanging out and talking, chatting. So I'm not going to really make any promises on when or how often. I'm just going to say I'm going to try as often as I can. And whenever I can see that there's a time frame available, I'm just going to do it, you know? Otherwise, I'm just not going to say, yeah, every Wednesday or every Monday. Because my schedule is consistently changing all the time with all kinds of stuff. So for instance, like we're trying to get the boot camp going again. I'm trying to get the books out. And then I'm also going to be starting a job working in some VR stuff, which is going to be epic. It's going to be so cool. And so, like, for me to say something like, yeah, Wednesdays, and then next week it was like complete lie, because I might be working on Wednesdays. You know what I mean? Or I have to reschedule a class. You know. And so I'm just going to do them, and then until I start to see real structure in my work schedule, in my workday, then I will start making such promises, or I'll start to strive for such things. Because someone was saying, like they really appreciate these videos or these streams, and not a lot of artists are consistent either. I'm not the only victim of this, right? Like a lot of other artists who try to start streams are also equally like, yeah, I'll start doing it all the time. I mean, I think like I know my buddy James used to do it like every day. But I'm not sure if he does it anymore. But, it's really hard to maintain, especially when your life is constantly changing. I think a lot of you guys can appreciate that and understand that. But at the same time, there needs to be effort put into this. I've devoted a lot of my time and attention to teaching and educating. And this is something that really does mean a lot to me. And something that has brought my life a lot of joy, is just helping you guys get better and have better ways of, improving. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Kaylin, did you want to say anything?
Hell no.
All right, cool.
No.
Cool.
Of course, kind of what he says. I mean, we're looking. People have been asking us, right? Like, is Robotpencil like dead? And no, we're not dead. It's just that we were aiming to start obviously in January, but just kind of unforeseen company stuff. Just running a company is hard. I don't think people realize that.
Doing lots
My
of
time
things
is
is hard.
spent like just handling so many emails, and then I think people always kind of forget that it's like they're just one of like thousands of people. So we're handling all the emails, and then we got to figure out business stuff. So we just kind of took some time off a little bit to just make sure that everything is good. That like, I know some people were kind of expecting us to start like in January, but it's just more so that like obviously me and AJ like we're not going to release something unless we feel confident about it. And at that point, like things would have been kind of rushed if we had started the mentorship. So we kind of took a step back and we're like, all right, let's handle these things first before we start doing the classes again, because otherwise balancing way too much. So
Yeah, I
kind of
started.
like just get it like cleaning house a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I started to have us reformat a bit because there are things that I've done where, like, if I didn't plan ahead, like I just kind of screwed myself over, and that's kind of what happened. And so we just need to like we talked it over. And we're really, because a lot of people do still enjoy it. I know some of our students were really just like, oh, are you guys ever going to do it again? Because they really do appreciate the courses. And I mean, we have like Learn Squared too, which is a really great platform. But that's going to be a different type of educational platform. That one we're trying to make, at least like me and Ash and Che and all those guys, we're trying to find a way to make it a lot more available to more people and build a system that if you are pretty good and self-reliant, you can absolutely use that as a good starting point, you know?
Yeah.
But like with Robotpencil's kind of always been more of like a consulting slash like, real hands-on, school, and I don't think we're going to change that, and we're going to keep that relatively the same. It's really more about the consulting, and it's rather than a school, it's really just us. It's like you're really learning from us, and that's what you want, and that's what you are paying for, and so that's what we're going to give you, And so far we've done all right with that. I think a lot of people still appreciate all that stuff that we've done, and
Yeah.
we just need to get better about having structure to it. That's all.
It's all a little bit new to us. I mean, I don't think a year ago we would have expected it to get this big, and
Yeah,
so that obviously
got
kind
big
of,
so fast.
yeah, with that kind of comes some growing pains. So we're learning, but yeah, so we kind of spent the first couple months kind of just getting all that stuff figured out, because again, we don't want to release something if it's rushed or if it's not ready, because then that doesn't help anyone, and our kind of company kind of thrives. It doesn't happen without you guys, so we kind of make sure that it's like we'd rather take some time off and give you something, a project that is well worth your time, that people will want to enjoy and come back for. Because I mean, like our previous mentorships back in the day, I mean, we had a lot of repeat people that were just like, oh, I love it so much, I want to take it again a third time, and I'm just like, what? Like, you don't need to take it 3 times? And they're like, yeah, I want to take it again. It was so great. I learned so much, and a lot of people have gotten jobs. Like AJ, I don't know if you, I don't know if I told you that,
Yeah,
like one of the
yeah.
guys from my um class, Corey, he got like this mentorship, or he got like a internship,
Uh
whatever.
huh.
And I guess like all the work he did in my class, like the company loved it, and they're like, dude, all the work they did in your class, like the company loved it, and they even gave me some freelance. And they're like,
Oh,
and
that's
so he was
fantastic.
like super excited. So that kind of stuff makes it like hell yeah, like we want to. So we always want to keep doing it, and that's what we kind of live for in a sense. So we just want to make sure that we're always kind of figuring out um, how how like good we can be and how we can always improve. So for you guys that have been kind of waiting for that kind of stuff, we apologize. We just kind of have to clean house a little bit, spring cleaning a little bit, and get some things ready, so that way we can at least have more time to focus on that, accordingly.
All right,
Someone wrote
cool.
a question real quickly about the guild, if that's still kind of going on. Yeah, the guild is still going on. I haven't been active on it as much as I'd like to be, because we've kind of been kind of busy cleaning house. But hopefully, as the classes start up, that
And
will.
then my schedule starts freeing up. We'll start to be able to do things we did before, like challenges,
Yeah, because before we were doing kind
participative.
of like the challenges and stuff like that and whatnot, and like we definitely do like doing that. But yeah, it was kind of hard because now it's just kind of like me and AJ for the most part, kind of running things. So we will get back into that eventually. So I'm trying to make sure that I upload all my Gumroads to there and stuff like that, because people that are part of the guild that do pay obviously get my content free. And AJ.
Yeah, and so just for anyone who's curious about the other people that were part of our team, like for instance, because our team's really small, it was just me, John, Will, and Kaylin, pretty much. So Kaylin is obviously another instructor, so that his investment in this is pretty significant, right? And so was like John and Will's. But what ended up happening was just that, with John specifically, he decided to. Well, he not decide, but we all kind of decided that he should start doing stuff for Learn Squared, because that was like a much better opportunity for him specifically, because he was now getting into video editing, he's learning things, and he's growing as an individual. I felt that he was opted for more, and just checking emails and stuff wasn't seemed like a job that I just wanted him only to do, right? I mean, he did a lot more than that, obviously. And then same thing with Will. Like, I felt like there was an opportunity, because Will was an animator, and I felt the same way. I was like, there needs to be an opportunity for you as well. And I think Will is at the moment like working towards getting an animation job, and I think he's going to GDC. We're all going to be going there, hanging out. And so then Kaylin, but Kaylin's basically was like, yo, like you and me, let's do this. Like, I'll handle a lot of that stuff with you. We'll work together on it together. Because before you were just an instructor, you didn't worry too much about that kind of stuff. But now
Yeah.
you're like really hardcore. And with that being said, it's like it makes more sense, right? Because like if me and Kaylin are going at it, like we both have like pretty, because he's also an instructor, the incentive is just as high as it is for me, you know.
Yeah. And it's a
Uh,
little easier for me to handle some of that stuff because John isn't necessarily an artist, or I mean, he does draw. He's actually getting a lot better.
he's really good, man. John
Yeah,
Dobbs is really
but
good. You
me
should
and
see his
AJ,
environment painting he just did. It's actually
what?
pretty dope. Yeah, I was like, what the?
Dude, show it to me. Yeah, dude, he's getting good because he's like hanging out with you guys all the time. I'm kind of like he's gonna take over like in a couple of years. I imagine he's gonna be like start his own company underneath our noses. We'll never know.
He's gonna call it mechanical pen.
Mechanical ballpoint.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Charcoal ballpoint. What? I don't know. So yeah, so because I've known AJ for a while, there are some things that I kind of have more of a liberty to do. Usually, like more times than not, if John had questions or whatever, you have to always kind of consult AJ. Where for me, if there's some things that I know that I can answer, like I could just answer it for him, or just not have to ask him about it. I can just do it. And then if something that I really need to talk to him about, then I'll just talk to him. So that's why I kind of like I handle more of like the business side, which is answering a lot of your guys' emails. There's so many. I now know what John had to go through.
Yeah, it's not a little bit of work.
And then
and I used to do that all by myself too, man. It was rough.
yeah, that's I remember when you had to hire John the first time. I was like, holy crap. Like I kind of get messages on Facebook every once in a while, and I kind of feel like it's overwhelming. People are like, "Hey, look at my portfolio," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got to do this like by night." But now I'm like, "Dude, it's crazy." Like because it's linked to my phone, so like my phone's like always blowing up,
bing, 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 bing.
even at night because some people are from like overseas.
Yeah.
And it's like ding 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 ding. I'm like, God damn it! So I have to put it on mute now, and then when I wake up, it's like a huge thing. But yeah, so luckily I help AJ with that, and we figure out a lot of our mentorship stuff, and I figure out our instructors. And one of the biggest things I'm actually a big part of is actually doing our workshops. So in case you guys don't know, we do workshops like around the world for anyone that will have us. And we'd like to bring our friends, our homies, because we have a lot of contacts. We know a lot of people that work in the industry. So we're actually going to be in Barcelona, I think, in May, if it all works out well. That's kind of the plan for that. We'll definitely, as they release the proper marketing material, we will let you guys know. But I mean, the only thing that we require for most times, if you want us to come out there, is just a flight and then a place to stay. And it's pretty simple. Usually, what we do is we just have pre-sale tickets for your event. Usually it will cost some form of money, and then if you get enough pre-sale, that should cover the cost of flying us out. And then we do an event, and we'll bring our friends, we do like paint, we do like demos, we do portfolio reviews, all that kind of fun stuff. So like, if you guys ever interested, just hit us up. Which actually it's kind of funny because someone that used to remember time I went to Morocco, I think with Paul Richards, and I met all those like amazing artists.
Wait, you went to Morocco with Paul Richards?
Did I ever tell you that story? Yeah, Paul was just came to visit in Spain one day, and then like how it's easy to travel in Europe, and I was like, you want to go to Morocco? It's like 15 euros round trip. And we're just like, what? Like 15 euros? So then like I bought all the plane tickets, and I even bought a hotel, and the hotel is like 100 euros. And it's like a nice hotel too. It's like for like 3 days.
It's like a Euro trip, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly
like
because the dirham is kind of weak to the euro, so like we just balled out, and no, it was pretty crazy. Like 15 artists like drove out like 6 hours to come meet us because they're like, Paul Richards is in Morocco. What the? So they drove 6 hours, and they literally showed us around the entire town. It was a really amazing time. But fast forward now, like 5 years from now, that some of them got jobs in Dubai, and I guess they recently had a schoolism event there in Dubai.
Wow.
So I was talking to my homie, and he's like, "Dude, we could totally have you here. We just got to talk to the people about it." So there could be a chance we go to Dubai.
That would be awesome.
I want to go because I want to see my Moroccan friends. Those guys are like the coolest people ever. Like, shouts to people, anyone from Morocco or anyone in like Dubai area. You guys are awesome. They're like the nicest people, and they have really good food. I don't like food, but I like food. They have really good food. So hopefully we'll go there in the future. So yeah, so I don't see any other questions.
Yeah, we can begin the questions and answers right now.
I see a hello from Brazil. What up? So pretty much we're gonna be so again we're starting the mentorship or the boot camp in April, and we're just here to kind of we wanted to have a stream to kind of take any questions you guys may have about that, any kind of changes, what to expect if you're interested in that. This is kind of the time to ask that because we can
or like, just a regular Q&A. You don't have to ask anything about that. Don't feel like you have to talk about it.
If there are no questions on that, we can ask, just ask regular questions too. So just let us know. You know the rule. Just type in all caps so I can see it, and then I will throw the question your way or my way. Damn, you're painting really fast. I feel like I talked for 30 seconds and you're like,
yeah, we've been going for about 20 minutes now. This is not too bad. Not too bad.
Well, I forget that you're like fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone wrote, "What is the boot camp about?" Just remember, always write in all caps, guys. If you want us to be able to
just the question part. Yeah, you don't have to write the whole thing, and just write in the question, and then colon, and then whatever your question is.
There we go. See, I saw Zamban right there. Boom. So what is the boot camp about, AJ? Break it down.
So it's really simple. So we've done the mentorships for about a year and a half now, and after that, like I think once we started doing them, everyone else started doing like mentorships, and then the mentorship was great, and I saw a lot of improvements in my students, but I still felt they weren't entirely sure like what it's like to work in or for a studio, and I thought that was really bizarre, and for me, like what that led to was basically this question was, well, how can I teach my students kind of like a more workforce-based education, right? And I realized what really works and what I've seen work a lot of times for students who have a little bit harder time being self-motivated, or even if they aren't, even if you are self-motivated, this was a very powerful tool, which was just to put a project around it, like put some sort of idea or some sort of like basically like an end goal. Instead of just saying, I'm going to just do some cool paintings, like you're working actually towards a bigger project. You're working with a team of people who are also working on the same project, and so that way you guys can experience and like feel like what it is to see what others are working on. The same thing. We have meetings instead of like critique sessions. I mean, obviously, I still critique and I still like do a demo or paint over if necessary, But the idea is to get people motivated and also self-fulfilling, like so they can get the work done. And in most of the classes, I get a pretty good success rate now. Like a lot of these students are like getting work done in days. The meeting more often is also a very big part of that. So my class specifically, I'm going to try to meet up with my students at least 3 times a week. Okay. Where the original bootcamp, the on-campus bootcamp, it makes more sense for everybody to meet up every day. It's really not that hard for us to do that. And so what that means is that like when they would have to show up and they would actually have to have work done. And the way that I approach it is we build a scrum board. We build like what they had to get done. Did they do well, right? And at the end of the class, I will basically gauge like where you are, like where you live in terms of, are you capable of working? Are you capable of building the portfolio you need? And if not, then why? And what can you do to do that moving forward, right? What may hold you back? Because I'm pretty good about understanding this, because I've myself have experienced really good opportunities where I did really well on the client and really succeeded, and also vice versa where I terribly failed and felt what that was like, and saw what I did wrong and how I could have done better, and there goes a lot of that goes into account of like where I was at in terms of my work schedule, like how much work I was taking on, the amount of pressure I was giving to myself, the lack of pressure, the people who were in charge, the art directors that were teaching that were giving me this feedback. All this stuff I'm keeping consideration, right, as I'm kind of critiquing each individual person. Letting most people know, like actually most people might not think they're ready, but I tell them that a lot of times it's not really a matter of whether your work is good or not, that determines if you're ready to work, right? It's how you're getting the work in and how you're turning in the work and how you're doing it and how you respond to the feedback and how you know what I mean? Like all that stuff is what actually, because you and I, when we first started our first job, right, we were terrible. Like we weren't very good. Like we're much better than we were then, right? Like I can't believe I even got the first jobs that I did with the artwork that I had. But it had a lot to say about who we were as people, and the fact that Kaylin hooked me up with the job, and like we had some good friends. And friendships is like a huge deal in this industry. Like maintaining really strong friendships is like a must. But yeah, the boot camp essentially is what you would expect from the traditional mentorship, but more project based, more focused on getting you to understand the working conditions a little bit more, and giving you more insight on how to charge, how to set up invoices and stuff like this. Like if you have any questions of those natures, we will be more than happy to answer those questions. But that's relatively it. And obviously you have all the time with us. We'll be meeting for me it's about 2 to 3 times a week. Kaylin's twice, and then I think Dan McGowan is going to be twice as well. Yeah. Kaylin, are you there? Did Kaylin disappear?
Oh, sorry about that. I muted my mic because my dog was barking. Anyways, yeah. So another question was, is the boot camp online? Yes, we do have a physical boot camp, which is what AJ runs in the office. But this one in particular, we will be doing it online. So that's going to be a pretty fun time, which is what AJ was talking about. The other question was, are you going to the Trojan Horse Unicorn, AJ? You're not, are you?
I would like to.
Okay.
Not sure if I am though.
All right. And then one was, can you talk about your next Learn Squared class and if you'd ever do a 3D code class for me?
I don't think so because Drama already has one, and to be honest, like it's one you only need because the one I learned pretty much everything from that guy. I would probably more likely make like Gumroad videos that are more spin-offs, like on character stuff because he didn't really do much character stuff. But I don't want to kind of take his thunder because, to be honest, like he's better at explaining it. He has more experience with the software. And my future classes for Learn Squared, I think the one that I might be doing will be we might bring back the virtual reality one again, but more importantly, we might bring like a character design one where I am only teaching like the in and outs of how to develop a character, from the beginning to end. And so that way, and I have grand dreams of it being like, the end-all be-all 2D character design class. That would be really, really a lot of work for me to do, but this is why I didn't decide to do. I originally was going to do that, but after consulting and realizing like this is just another thing that I just keep adding to my list of stuff that I'm trying to get done, I decided just to hold on to that. I'll come back to that once. Maybe it might be something that will come in the third term of Learn Squared, but right now it just doesn't make sense for me to do that. But the boot camp, there's really nothing specifically like different. It's really like, again, like more like a consulting. Like we will work on a project together, and with that project we will basically help you develop like the skills and experience that you truly need to understand to work for an employer. Where the character design class is just like, this is how you draw a character, this is anatomy, this is how you look up design reference, this is how like it's just like step by step how do you do each one, but it doesn't necessarily teach you how to work, right? And you'll get a little bit of that in the boot camp. Like if I see something, like if your proportions are off, your anatomy is off, your design is off, I won't be like, oh well, you're not taking the character design class, so I'm not going to explain to you. Like that. No, it doesn't work that way. If I think that it's something very specific to you, or to everyone else, I'll make a point of it and I'll do a little demo. These classes will also come with like lectures based off of the skill of the class as a whole, rather than just like a predetermined lecture that I think people should take. It's more like a lecture that it will be, inspired by what I see students suffering with. I think that works better, much, much better, as a teaching tool. Like a lot of times people are so focused on students and their lack of ability and like their lack of attention or their lack of like strengths, whatever they may be. Like a lot of the tensions like, hey, if you don't do it, it's all on you. You're the one that's sucking it up. Like just figure it out. I don't necessarily agree with this mentality towards people. I know some of my good friends feel differently about this, but like for me, I come to realize that like, what if there is a teacher disability? What if it's not so much entirely the student's fault? Maybe it's also on the hands of the teacher, right?
Yeah.
And the teacher needs to do their best to try to help their student, and that is something that like is why a lot of my classes are structured the way they are. Because I'm more like attentive to people's specific problems versus like just a more generic problem that most people encounter. So yeah.
Someone asked about what are your thoughts on 100 hours? It seems like 350K was a lot to ask for. I'm not sure what that means. We'll have to specify what that means. Someone said,
I don't know what that is. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, someone asked if there are going to be more copies of Heavens and Hell. I believe it's because it's Design Studio Press. You can buy that, right?
Yeah, I believe they still have prints. Yep.
Yeah, still have prints.
You just won't have like the signed copy and or the hardcovers are only like a lot of people got the hardcovers, so that's only for the and then the slipcover case or the slipcase is again just only Kickstarter. The paperback is like the only one available to everyone else.
Word. Okay. And then someone said kisses from Brazil. All right, what's up, Brazil?
What's up?
Let's see. Someone said, "Can I show you my DeviantArt? I know if I could start doing work in a company or need to practice more." We don't really take the links right now because it kind of detracts. But
yeah, you know what though? Like we'll set up a time. Like it's just not official that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't think that's a bad idea. I think what I'm going to do is maybe we'll set up a stream where that is the focus, where we'll recommend people to, go on my Facebook or whatever, and then when I post or share the event, we'll have you have to go to the event obviously, and then put your links into the discussion part of the event, and then we'll just like cycle through them in order of who submitted first, and just go in that way in faction, and then what we'll try to do is save all the ones that didn't go. We just got to build a system around it. I'm sure a lot of people would enjoy doing this.
So the 100 hours thing is like a Kickstarter. It's like a book, I guess. So the 100 videos.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. 35,000 is a lot to ask for. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've made a book. AJ has, but books are really hard to do.
It's hard, man.
And
that's not as much as you think it is, man. You would actually be surprised.
Not. Yeah, I think people I think we kind of got into this kind of Gumroad thing where if it's like less than like if it's more than $5 we're like what the hell, right?
Yeah, where videos were actually standardized originally around $70 or $80 or $60, and then we came around and said no, that's a little expensive. If you just want like an hour video, it shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, because here's the thing, like you have free videos on YouTube. A lot of people have videos on YouTube and they're for free, right? But a lot of times, like that's not sustainable for all of us, right? For instance, like you have someone like Ross, who's found a way to make it sustainable. He made a really entertaining channel. He runs a very successful Patreon, that it also gets funneled through his YouTube channel. But he's at the point where if he keeps this up and keeps building his subscribers, within a year or two, he will absolutely be making millions or 2 millions of views a month, and that's when you start making sustainable income. Like what I mean by sustainable is like making money that is your job now. You can actually just work on making videos for a living. But a lot of times you see a lot of these YouTube stars come and go, just because sometimes they do create this model for the sake of income, and it just doesn't work out. But someone like Ross, I think, will be fine because he actually genuinely loves to do these things.
Never mind. It wasn't 35,000. It was actually 350,000 pounds, which is like 500,000. Which I don't know.
$500,000, like $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little too much. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know the context of what it is. What is it exactly?
Context, yeah. We'll move past it. When we know what it is, we'll talk about it again. But we don't want to be the people that like.
Yeah, I have no clue. I apologize.
People look at us and they're like, "What?
Why are you judging them?" I
Why are
don't
you
know
judging?
anything about them. Yeah, sorry guys.
They do that to us.
Sorry for the predetermined
But
or
yeah,
pre.
it sounds badass though. So I like 3D Total. I like go to their site. Anyways, so someone said, let me scroll up here. Okay, so yeah, so what? So back to Neo's question, Neosonics. Yeah, we'll probably have a different time where we'll take people's portfolios. We'll just get links and then we'll take a look at that. But so yeah, it's a good question, but just hold off on that till the next one.
Yeah, we'll set something up. Thanks for the inspiration.
Yeah.
We'll set something
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people would enjoy, and I would
Yeah,
enjoy doing it.
because you got to think of it from this way is that like because we have so many emails, a lot of the emails is literally people like, hey, look at my portfolio and give me feedback. So when you get like one or two like a week, that's fine. But then when you're getting like 4 or 5 a day, like it gets kind of like crazy because like we don't just write like a generic like message like good, move on, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna take our time and give you like thoughtful critiques. So, and a lot of times too, what we find is that because we get so many emails, a lot of the answers that we have like overlap. So it's better just to have a recorded session where we can just take everyone's like work and then kind of address it as a whole, and so it covers more ground. You know what I mean? As opposed to having to write like individual emails for every single person, because much as I love talking to you guys, it gets tiring because I have to do stuff too. So we'll hold off on that. Next question is Anthony, how does your 3D experiments and character art going? Do you see using 3D for character concepts? Yeah.
That's what I got my job for.
Yeah.
I just got a job opportunity to work for a
like
VR
we're doing
company.
stuff for Spark. You were sending out like AJ was sending out stuff that we were sending out like executable files, so they could actually like an Unreal like environment with the character in it, so you could walk around and look at the character and be like, so what do you think? And they go, can you just fix the arm right here? And they could just like tilt it and move it and like screenshot it, and we're like, okay. So yeah, that's the future, bro.
Yeah, it's not an experience anymore; it's reality, and I'm going to be paid to explore that reality, that virtual reality, and that's where I feel like I'm going to have a lot more things to teach in the next year or so. That it's going to be next gen education, things that would get you guys on the frontier, But I would, if I had to give advice right now, I would say highly recommend getting to like some sort of 3D. Some sort of 3D package or tool, and just start getting committed.
Machine right now, getting into that, trying to build worlds.
Yeah, World Machine is pretty cool.
Yeah, I found a lot of good tutorials. I have to just take my time and check those out. Let's see. What someone asked, what VR company? What VR company? Do you know?
Magnopus.
Magnopus.
Magnopus. Right now they do like they're just starting out too. I think they are working on some pretty cool stuff though. It's like super top secret. That's all I can say right now.
Right.
It's so top secret that I don't even know what it is. Seriously. I think even if I worked there, they wouldn't tell me. They'll just like work on this. Don't worry about what we're working over there in the dark room. It's like I saw a dead body in there though. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
What the lawnmower man? What
happens? It happens.
Is that
wait.
Neo? You just see Neo from the Matrix walk out.
Is that Neo? Exactly. Hold on a second. Let me share it. I didn't share it on mine that we're in here. Hey, it's Kalen, White Kalen.
White Kalen's checking in on us. He's the one that works there. He's actually my best friend too. And I've known that Kalen. I've known this Kalen for pretty much my whole art career, which is almost a decade now, Kalen. And then, but the other Kalen I've known almost my whole life, which is about almost 2 decades and a half. No, not 2 decades and a half, but definitely 2 decades. Like we're going on 20 years now. We've known each other since we were like 10 years old. So.
Oh snap! Put a ring on it. Put a ring on it. Okay, I gotta share this.
So it's kind of like, is the White Kalen here? It's like it's so surreal, man. Because like we never were in the same line of work ever, like we were never aligned in terms of our career paths. It didn't matter in terms of friendship, of course, but in terms of our career paths, like we've always on different paths, And then we kind of came together when he started getting into acting and then into film, and then he started working on films as like a previs artist. And I was starting to say, like, it's weird that you're kind of jumping into this field that I know a lot about too. And then he started working on like Unreal, and then Unreal got him this opportunity over there, and then now he's like doing some crazy stuff over there with those guys, like creating worlds. And then they were like looking for concept artists, and he was like, yeah, I know a guy. And then the rest is history, right? So it's kind of surreal that we are actually officially going to be working together, like on a project.
It is kind of cool. Like, considering it's like since high school. I can't imagine.
Not since high school, since like elementary school. Like me and Kaylin used to like we would make these little videos, like as kids. I would always tell him too, like if we were born in this era, like where YouTube was popular, like we would definitely be one of those people on YouTube. That was something that we were very, very like passionate about as kids, but there was no like channel for that. You know what I mean? And we lived in like a small town called Barstow. So the next thing we did was like get into music, which was cool. Music brought I think it brought a lot of charm, charisma to us.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever worked with. Actually, no. My best friend from high school, he works over at in Irvine, next to you. He works over at Taco Bell. So one time I helped out with.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that's a bizarre thing too, right? Like that.
Yeah,
that
he's
would
like,
be
hey,
really bizarre.
some, like Taco Bell stuff for like their new like launch, like marketing launches for like NBA. I was like, do I? Which, by the way, like, I granted you're vegan now, but like, yeah, like their Taco Bell's amazing in there because they have a Taco Bell like inside of it, and then it's like they cook everything fresh.
Yeah, just tell your friend that he's working for a company that supports the decimation of our world.
Yeah,
Just
well, he works for Pepsi, so that's probably definitely true. Like he works in Taco.
No, Pepsi's not nearly as bad. No, he's fine then. If he works for Pepsi, he's good.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
It's like not nearly as bad. Yeah.
Okay. The other question was any more video meetings coming out regarding faith?
Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I almost forgot about the stream today. I didn't put it on my list for whatever stupid reason. And I was like, God, why didn't I put this on the list? Everything is like dismantled my whole day. And so but luckily I put like an hour and a half in my day where I don't really do anything. And just because I do this stuff sometimes where I forget. And so yeah, we actually have a meeting already done. We actually or 2 meetings in. I just have to start uploading them. Like I have to render them and upload them because I want them to be nice so that you guys can follow. So there should be another one today. It might be later today because I'll just have to render it out and I have to do a little voiceover, but it should be good. It should be good to go. Thanks for reminding me. Actually, let me write that down so I don't forget.
Okay. Next question is so Brandon's leaving. Peace out, Brandon. We got to hang out with him while we're in DC. Do you recommend using a 3D software to study anatomy and values?
Yeah, sure.
Or should I stick to gesture, anatomy sketches and value drawings, and getting into 3D after I get stronger for everything? Yeah.
So here's a better way of thinking of this. 3D is just a tool, okay? So what you really want to do is just, no matter what tool you're using, you just want to master and understand foundational knowledge. Like you want to understand anatomy, like practically. You want to understand perspective practically. You want to understand materials practically, because the tools are going to change, you know. And if you attach a lot of your skill to your tool, when the tools change, it's going to be harder for you to switch your mentality. You're going to be very complacent, but more importantly, or more dangerously, you're going to be very cognitively dissonant, which means that you're going to have 2 conflicting issues in your brain. And when you have that in your brain will almost always, unless you are very conscious of this, and most people are nowadays, if people are being more conscious of this, you have to be more aware that your emotional part of your brain, your more primitive side of your brain, is going to win out, unless you can just sit down for a second and think about what's going on. Why are you thinking the way you are, right? But most people don't. Most people get really defensive. Most people get really, focused in on what they believe is to be true, and it's harder for them to conceive that maybe they're wrong, right? This is how you have cultures are built based off of this. For the benefit of the culture and also to the detriment of the culture in a lot of ways, Like this is we're seeing this firsthand with America with the whole Donald Trump fiasco, right? Like he's clearly not a good candidate to become president, but yet because he does a lot of things that people think are good, which is he just says his mind, he speaks his mind, whatever, and he is like knows hold bars. Doesn't mean that he's a good candidate, and because they've already kind of committed to perhaps a foolish decision or choice, like a lot of these Americans, my fellow Americans, are just they're really it's hard for them to kind of detach now from this opinion, even though he's saying stuff that are so clearly crazy now, And the more you believe and more you agree to something, the harder it is for you to detach, even if you see the logic in it. And if you think about it at a primal level, it makes sense, right? Like if you see a bush, and the emotional part of your brain will say it's a goddamn monster. It's a monster of some sort. It's a tiger. It's a lion. It's a leopard, and you will react accordingly. Because your logical sense of brain could be it could be anything. It could be the wind. It could be a lion. It could be maybe another fellow human. It could be lots of things. But the primitive brain will almost immediately react, no, it's not that. It's definitely a lion. Get the hell out of there. And that's actually a good thing to have when you're like an ape living in the jungle. You react with fear first rather than with, some sensibility. It makes a lot of sense, right? Because what if it was a lion and then you're good? You got a head start, you're running, right? And if it wasn't a lion, it's fine. Nothing bad happened to you either way, right? Maybe just embarrassing. The worst is that if you experience that same situation, but then instead of reacting, you're thinking about it and you're overly thinking about it. The next thing you know, it's definitely a lion like coming at you, right? So a lot of ways, reacting instinctually is okay, but like the benefit of us humans that we're very cognitive. We can go back and think about it and reflect upon it. This will happen to me a lot when I would first start out as an artist. Like a lot of people give me feedback, and I'll get really resistant. I'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, whatever, dude. I'm like, that's not what I was trying to go for. Like, I'll come up with all these excuses, and then later on, I'll look at it and they're like, oh yeah, they were right. Like my anatomy is totally off, or this thing is too big, or this color does look weird, or this, like I'll start to become a lot more receptive to this type of stuff. So getting back to kind of the point of this whole like, should I learn 3D? Should I do this? That's like a primal reaction, right? The thing you should be saying is, I should just learn foundational things, no matter what the tool is. I'm too focused right now on the tool as the main issue of my skills, and the reality is, tools are actually easily learned with just a little bit of time. And I'm not saying that you'll master it in a little bit of time, but you can definitely get good enough that you can see the benefit of it and you can get better at it and then become a master of it within a year or two. And I don't think it takes more than like a year or two to become potentially a master at a tool. Okay? And more importantly, I don't think it takes more than like a few months really of dealing with a tool to become good at it, like really good at it, maybe enough to even get jobs doing that specific thing. I don't think it takes much time at all to become good at the tool. But what does take time is becoming better at your anatomy, becoming better at your values, because a lot of this information is really, really hard to stick and maintain because there's no real practical use to it other than drawing really well, right? So I'll just highly advise, absolutely learn new tools, adapt to the tools, but more importantly, focus all your attention on the foundations. Okay, don't let your primitive brain convince you that a tool is going to be your salvation, or don't let your primitive brain convince you that because you suck right now, you should give up. That's still like your part of your brain that we have yet to evolve. Evolution takes a lot of time, right, for things to change, and our biology is still very primitive. Our technology is very advanced, but our biology is very, very primitive. So it's like we're starting to see the symptoms of this through all the problems that we're having in the world. So.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that, even when I teach an environment with the mentorship, a a lot of times, it's a little bit easier just to go into 3D and just show someone,
Yeah.
how perspective is reacting and how forms are. A lot of people sometimes don't understand overlap when they're drawing out their environment. So I go, okay, if what you're showing me is real, let me build this in 3D real quick and show you what's really happening. And then they can understand that and go, oh, okay. So using 3D is just a tool to kind of further explain things, but you still have to know perspective. But it's definitely a good way to explain things. So even when I'm teaching perspective to my students, like I'll always use SketchUp or Maya, to kind of further explain how maybe shadows are affecting certain things or how proportions, distance, how that all can be affected in 3D software. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker just to show it that way, as opposed to just drawing out a grid and plotting out everything exactly. Yeah, use all the tools available to you. There is something wrong with that. Let's see. Someone's asked if you're using a 4K monitor.
I'm not.
What size is your monitor? That's what
The resolution? Here it is. I have 3 monitors going, but one of them is just for my TV. So this is the resolution, 2560 by 1440.
All right. So let's see here. How long do you want to go for, by the way?
Around 2:30.
2:30.
So we got a good half an hour. We can go answer a couple more questions. Let me put a timer, so
Yeah.
that way at 15 minutes we can do a lightning round for the last 15 minutes. If there's any more questions, if there's not, we'll just end it then. So let's go.
Yeah. Well, I might have to go a little bit before that because I'd have to before I start my other class. But
Okay.
let's see what we got here. So I guess it's kind of like a two-parter.
No.
Well, that's pretty
No
easy question.
two-parters.
No,
just
two-parter.
kidding.
No, it's not two-parter. Someone wrote, AJ, how well do you know anatomy? If you couldn't use any reference, how far could you go in drawing the human creature anatomy? I'm pretty sure you can go there, right?
Out of 100%, I think I would right around like 70, maybe 65%. I would say I know enough to convince people to think that I know 100% though.
Okay.
But I don't know enough to like dissect a human being and like cure them of an
Not
ailment.
Charles.
Yeah, but I'm good enough that like my chiropractic friend, we were talking about it, and I was able to like talk about anatomy with him, and he was kind of impressed. He's like, "What? You know that about anatomy?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I'm not at the level as a medical doctor. I think you don't need it to be at that level because you could like eventually you can just use reference, to help. Again, what reference should be used for, to refer to. I think a lot of your reference should be internalized, and then when you get to the point where you have to draw a really realistic bicep, then your reference is only taking you to that extra 30%, versus like taking you from 30% to that extra 70%, which is like that means you can never really rely on your own instincts. You have to kind of just always rely on imagery of some sort. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you just got to know who you are, and that's the kind of person you are. Then you have to either adapt to it or make a difference or change that about yourself.
Word. Next question. How do you determine? It's from the Ginger Squirrel, which is a really cool name, by the way. By the way, everyone has like really cool names in here. I feel like my name is so.
Yeah,
dumb.
for on, please only have names like this.
Yeah. No, like Bob or
Yeah,
Caleb.
no more Bobs or
Okay.
Caleb's.
So
Sorry,
good.
Caleb.
So, anyways, how do you determine what tone to build up volume with? From that, how do you create the lighter and darker shades?
That's a little bit harder of a question to answer. What I usually do in terms of value range is I just keep it consistent. So if I say that this is like a turning radius for this value, no matter where I paint it again, then I can be consistent with it over here. I can push it darker to that range, and I'll just keep it that way the whole time. There's like other systems that I've seen other artists use. I know Scott Robertson has a really great one, so I would highly recommend you look into that. And for me, it's really about like paying attention to patterns and like looking for symptoms of good practices that you can continuously and constantly use. So for me, it's like I have a thing where I try to stay within 30% of the local value to add more of a range inside of the inside of the light value. For instance, if you look at here, like all the little wrinkles and bumps out of his face. Now they're not very dark shadows. Actually, they're very subtle. But like right here, for instance, I can definitely push this to be darker because what I'm trying to say is that this is like where the form is turning with the light, right? But in the light forms themselves, I will not try to go 30 or like 30% away. And really what that means is that if this is at 25%, then I don't go more than, let's say, 10% this way and then 40%. Like this is within 30%, okay? And so what I try to do is stay within there. So I either go 15% lighter or 50% darker, right? To like add subtlety and add form shifts in the places that are in light and the places that are in shadow. And that works really well. So that way if I have a very contrasty image that has a very contrasty like light setup, I still apply that rule and it works most of the time. So if I take this image, for instance, and just like adjust the levels, it should still read very well, even if I overexpose it, right? And that's kind of the point. So that's a good way of seeing how, like, if you overexpose your image, does it look like an overexposed like image of your thing? Not like a really, like, you can't see any of your forms anymore, you can't see any of your details, you can't see any more of your design. And I don't necessarily do that. I don't test it that way. I just know that I can do that and it should be fine. Because I do that to photos all the time when I used to study, and I recognize that I can still tell that this was from a photo. If that makes sense. Like I knew that I was picking from a photo or I was looking at a photo, even though it was like overly filtered. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else we got on. Okay, someone asked want to talk about your diet, but I would say we should save that for another. That's a whole stream in itself. You can go on about your vegan diet.
Who asked that?
I forget. Hold on. You said Sensei, can you talk about your diet? Okay, let me find it. Hold on.
It's fine. I'll talk about it if there is time.
Yeah.
But you're right. That would be a whole thing. That's like a whole another hour long.
Now for a while. Okay, working on it. Oh, it's Brainchild. Wanda lecture on the diet.
Yeah, I want to ask you why you asked that question. It's so funny.
Yeah. So
I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that question.
There can be a 5-point like freaking Lord of the Rings journey on AJ's new vegan diet, which is just pretty cool. Awesome stuff. But that's kind of a hard question to start. Very small. Anyways, question is, what is your next important thing to place in your portfolio after your selections of your best work? Your best work? I don't know. That's a weird question, AJ. I don't know.
Like, what should you put after your best work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What is the next important thing to place in your portfolio after your selection of best works?
I don't know. I think just more best works.
Yeah, more best works. And if it's not best works, then you
maybe don't put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why would you put secondary work in there? I mean, and I'm considering this as a question that's like you're thinking of like maybe not the quality of work. Maybe you're just saying maybe not so much just like the quality. Maybe you're just talking about like what else is good to put into a portfolio. I think that's probably what you're going for. And with that being said, I would say a lot of iterations, a lot of sketches of the work that you may have portfolio pieces of. Like you want to show people that you did a lot of work to get there. And if you didn't, then you need to start doing that. Because they need to see proof that you can do multiple iterations. Because unfortunately, like working on personal work, like for instance, this painting that I'm doing will be the last time I work on this. I won't do an iteration of this. I won't paint this again. I won't try to paint this again. Because this is my personal work, and I think it's good as it is. It could probably be better for sure, but I don't really care. I don't really have any interest to make it better. That's not my goal with this painting. My goal with this painting is just to paint, have fun, enjoy it. If I want to improve, then I would do something different than paint a painting like this. I would try to challenge myself. I would give myself a specific task. But iterations, tons of iterations is like hands down what you should be doing. You know, tons and tons and tons of iterations, and then showing orthographics and like call out type of paintings. You know, paintings that are they're calling out individual parts of your painting, stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Next question is someone asked if they can see our very first paintings.
I don't really have that.
I know I have mine. You have to go to my blog. I think if you literally type in like Kalen Chalk first digital paintings in Google, I'm pretty sure that blog post will show up of my very first digital paintings. And dear God, those are terrible.
Yeah, if you go to my blog, you can backtrack to one of my first paintings.
You know my favorite website of yours was that website that you made that was a joke one, where it was like a crayon drawing, like a screen crayon drawing, and it was like, welcome to my portfolio. And then you click on it, and it's like epic paintings, like the one you're painting now, but like the like the site of it, like the skin of it looks like it's like a crayon, like
yeah, it was like a kid's portfolio. Yeah,
kid's portfolio. That's funny. Those are some good times.
Yeah, that site would definitely have some of my earlier work, but it's gone.
Yeah, I always try to find that website. I can never find it. Did you take it down?
No, I don't think it was. I think they took it down. It was like an AI website.
Okay, word. Someone said, AJ, Kalen, what do you prefer, Chicago-style pizza or New York? Well, I don't know if they do vegan pizza. Do they do vegan pizza?
Well, before I was vegan, I don't know.
I like Chicago because it's like deep dish. So I never really had New York pizza. I never really.
Yeah, I don't know the difference, so I can't comment on that.
So I'll have to get back to you on that. Okay.
I did like pizza that was covered in sausages and mushrooms. That was like my favorite thing, and very thin crust. So if that makes a difference into that answer, then
I always like that pizza place by your house. I love that place.
Yeah, that place is good. I'm never gonna eat there again.
Anyways, I'll just go there and
never gonna eat there again.
I'll eat there on my way to go visit you, and then I'll just do that.
You can get a vegan pizza by just asking for them not to put the cheese on, and then just don't get any meat. I think that's a good way to go about it.
But then what do you put on it in replace of the cheese?
What are you talking about? Just the sauce. The cheese is the only thing missing. It would just be sauce, the bread, and then the toppings. You can put vegetables and the mushrooms in there.
But isn't that not a pizza then, by definition?
No, you don't know what a pizza is then. Apparently you don't know what a pizza is without cheese.
Apparently I do not.
It's not a cheeseburger, right? Like a cheeseburger, by definition, needs cheese in it. Otherwise, it's a burger.
But with vegan, though, you don't have the meat. So it'd literally just be a bread and then whatchamacallit. So I guess...
Yeah, maybe.
But then there's a replacement though with the vegan burger, right? Like a vegan burger, like it looks like a burger, but it's vegan. It's not.
Yeah, veggie grill's dope.
I'm just wondering what replaces the cheese to make it feel it.
You can put vegan cheese on there, but I heard it's like, at least for now, it's just not healthy. It's just really bad, even though it tastes so good.
Yeah, there you go. Someone said Okay, someone said, what are the best, so that was a pizza one, what are the best exercises to effectively train perspective thinking understanding?
Like how to improve your perspective drawing? I think that's your question. Yeah, you have a better answer than I would.
No, that's, well, no, it said, hey, AJ, only AJ can answer this.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding.
Well, I'm going to pass it to you anyway, because that makes sense.
Okay, perspective. How to train perspective thinking.
Or do you mean like, you don't mean the drawing term perspective? Do you mean like
mental perspective?
Like, do you mean like, let's get back to that person.
Yeah, I'll go back to you. Someone said, how awesome is IFCC going to be this year?
It's going to be real awesome.
Yeah, cool. Next question. Any advice for speaking with recruiters at cons, not beyond not being an ass? Yeah, I could actually talk about that because we've had some people that we know that are not very good at that. And now people don't have to talk to them. So just be upfront and honest with them. That's just the biggest thing. Usually, a good thing is to kind of know about the company that you're going to talk to. So example, like for GDC, like if I'm going to go to a company, let's say I'm going to go to Riot, right? Because they're always there, right? They have a big line. I would probably want to at least know who I could possibly be talking to. hopefully my portfolio is geared towards their stuff. And then just be real with them. Just ask them, hey, what can I do to kind of improve my portfolio? I want to work on this project. And kind of the more you know about the company and know what they're about, know what they're working on, that usually lets the recruiter know that you're serious. Just because the recruiters, like, they deal with like random people like all the time, right? So they're dealing with like hundreds of people. So the more like prepared you are, knowing about the company, people that work there, all that stuff will definitely like help you out. And just not be like asking for a job, but just getting feedback on your work. Just asking for honest feedback. If you can talk to, hopefully your work is good enough where the recruiter won't have enough knowledge to critique it, and they'll ask for an art director. So usually, if you can, like, ask for an art director or an artist, because more times than not, the recruiters are there to kind of sift through. Like, they're kind of there like to filter the goods from the bad ones. So like the recruiter will kind of just give you like blanket information of critiques. But then if you're really good, then they go, okay, I want you to come back and talk to this guy, because this guy is the guy that makes decisions. So if you can, try to talk to the art director, but it isn't always the case because they're not always around. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, just be yourself. Be friendly.
Yeah, be yourself. Be friendly.
There's no real secret to that. It's just, I think people are too afraid. You got to remember, these people are also people, and if they treat you poorly, then you might not want to work for them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Someone said, "Will you ever?"
Never have I ever. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, will you ever stream ZBrush over Twitch TV?
No,
There you go.
because I'm gonna only do 3D code.
By the way, are the recent streams uploaded somewhere? They should be, right? I think so.
They're supposed to be. If not, I'll be actively recording them so that I can just put them on my YouTube. This one is not recorded. It's fine. We'll record another one.
Okay.
I was just thinking about that too, like when they were asking about the portfolio review stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll have solutions.
Yeah. Someone asked, "What's your favorite Pokemon?"
I don't know any. I don't know enough about it to have one, but if I had to choose, it would just have to be the most popular ones. I guess Jigglypuff.
What, lame, dude. Snorlax, dog. Come on.
I don't know who that is.
Snorlax. Okay. Anyways,
I don't know who that is.
I'm studying game design. I have 1 year left in school, but I'm really passionate about concept art and studying every day. Do you
Cool.
think a mixture of both is possible? Yeah.
Yeah, anything's possible. Is it practical? Maybe not. I don't know too many people that do both concept art and game design, but they do help each other, whether you're more game design oriented or you're more concept art oriented. If you're more game design oriented, the concept art will help you illustrate to your other game designers what you're looking for, right? Like, in the best possible way. Is what we do as concept art, is to visualize ideas. And on the flip side, if you're a concept artist, the game design stuff will help you design characters that make sense for the designers, like game design. But I don't think there is a game design / concept artist person unless you are working in a small team, right? Small teams almost, it's kind of required. Everyone's going to have to pull extra weight. But yeah, I would say I wouldn't put too much effort into just trying to be good at both at the same time. I'd say put a lot of effort in trying to be good at one and then come back to the other later.
So then, question: Are you still doing Learn Squared mentorships? Been thinking about.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yes. So the answer is yes. Let's see. So I guess that back to that question. Simply how to get better at perspective with specific exercises. Okay, so I guess I can answer that because it's environment based. A good thing is going out and drawing, like, from life, like just drawing environments from life. So I do this a lot. Like, I'll go outside and just kind of draw what I see. Drawing just simple boxes in perspective is a good way to start out. I think like those two are pretty good. Take photos too. Like, use your camera. Anytime something interesting, like environment wise, like I would take a picture of it and kind of just look at it and evaluate, like, why is it interesting? I try to figure out how depth and perspective is making this picture look interesting to you. Also, there's a good book called How to Draw by Scott Robinson, and that covers like stuff to like a T, like the scientific, like almost borderline kind of boring, but very much needed. You could get that book, and that would probably show you like everything you need to do. But yeah, drawing from outside, like just drawing what you see, drawing some like just small boxes in perspective, that kind of stuff will help you out. Taking photos, all those things can help you. It's just more so just keep drawing and get you going.
Cool.
And
Okay, so we're like gonna wrap up now, like the last 15 minutes,
like
so that way you can get going too, Caleb. I'll just put 10 minutes, and then just ask any questions, and we'll try to answer them quickly.
Okay, if I show my portfolio to Wizard for MTG and they don't like, could I contact the lead artist and ask what can I improve?
Yeah, you can always try. The question is, will they ever answer? And if they don't get upset about it. People are busy, and sometimes they just don't have the time. Ask other artists. Ask your friends. Talk to other people. Don't just say, "Oh, well, no one answered me, so I will never know the answer." Like, just dig deep, look around, try to get answers. Ask other people. Ask other artists. Ask artists that you admire. If they don't get back to you again, just don't worry about it. Just keep trying. But there's going to be someone. There has to be someone around you. Even if it's your peers.
More times than not, someone will give you some advice that you can then decipher and figure out how it's going to help you. Someone said, "Is Danny gonna still be doing the IP class for Robotpencil?" Probably not. That guy is super busy right now, but maybe in the future.
Yeah.
So not right now. That guy's like busy making like a summer blockbuster film. But yeah, hopefully that would be really cool to have him back. But not. So I guess for right now, no. Question: if you could give one quick tip about how to render materials, what would that be? Practice rendering materials.
Yeah, I would say look at a lot of different materials and practice it, obviously. But the best tip, again, I can give to anybody is just creating systems. Create a system, a process in which that allows you to remember or make you remember things that allow you to paint materials better. The things that make things the things that make materials look like materials are usually light and the hardness of the surface. Those are some basic ideas, and then the more you look into that, the easier it is to become better at painting materials.
Yeah, you can just make like a bunch of squares and then literally just write something out. Say this one's going to be metal, this one's going to be lead, this one's going to be like fish, right? And then just try to make that look like it's a square cutout of that material. That's a good way to start too as well. Let's see. If I wanted to catch you guys in the States next year, which cons do you usually attend? I'm saving and trying to garner enough money to make a showing on a trip over there. We're usually at GDC because that one's fun to see all our friends. And CTN, we're definitely like to go to that one as well. So I think CTN, which is in November, and GDC, which is in March, which is actually next week. So those are the two ones that you'll probably usually find us at.
Comic-Cons. Usually Comic-Cons, yeah. Or some sort of cons, yeah.
It's so crowded though. I love the San Diego Comic Fest. Like that was perfect size. I just needed to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more artists, and it's perfect. But like that was like it's doable. But yeah, eventually we'll probably start to go to all these kind of conventions. But there are some small ones I think in like Anaheim and like those things that we could definitely do. We just gotta do it. Someone said, any upcoming conventions going on? What are some good ones to attend? If you want to work in games, I think GDC is probably one of the best ones you can go to because that's like amazing. Though I think they have them in like Europe too. They have that Gamescom too in like is it Gamescom? Is it in Germany? It's somewhere in Germany, I think. They have that one that's really big. I've never been, but it looks pretty awesome. And then so those two for games, and then I think CTN I think is a really big one if you want to work in animation. That's like one of my favorite cons to go to is CTN, even though I don't really work in animation, but it's really awesome. A lot of good artists there. So there's that answer. See you, John Silva Art. Let's see. Question: how did you study anatomy? Did you have a process?
Was John Silva in here?
Someone said John Silva Art. Yes.
Wait, someone said that, or wait?
No, it says John Silva Art. So take care.
Oh, John. I didn't know he was in here. Cool.
Okay.
Love John. He's a great guy, great artist.
Yeah, cool. Peace out, John. So yeah, how did you study anatomy? Did you have a process for it?
Okay, so studying in general, I think that's really kind of the problem. If you if you guys ever really want to get an in-depth idea on how to approach that, I would highly recommend going to my Learn Squared stuff, because that's like all I talk about is like, and like that's all I teach. But the process in which I study is I use the scientific method to become better at most of the things I become better at nowadays, which is basically tons of research, come up with a hypothesis, which is usually an idea of what I think things work the way they do, and then from there, once I come up with that, then I just put it into practice. I just do lots of experiments and test and practice. And I think when I was becoming better at art, I was doing that. I just didn't know that I was doing that, and it wasn't consistent. Sometimes I wouldn't even be paying attention to what I was doing. There'd be times where I was be studying, and then I tried to do something the next day, and I had no real results, and I was so bewildered because I thought I did such a good job the day before. But I realized what it was is that I wasn't actively paying attention, and that lack of attention was basically the symptom of like why I wasn't doing well. And so I got better at that. I got better at paying attention. I think people all understand how to study, they just don't want to do it. And here's the problem too with that kind of question. Not necessarily like the person who asked, but just more about the question in general. The problem with the question is that even if I told you how to do it, even if I told you that this is the way to become better, if you don't see results right away, you might think, well, maybe it's not for me. But the reality is, it is for you. It's for everyone. Which is the method is just straight up hardcore practice. Because I can tell you that if you work out and eat right, that you will be in good health, right? And you can believe that, even if you don't believe it, it is true, right? And really, there's not much to it other than those two things, which is diet and exercise. And then, also rest, sleep. Sleep is pretty powerful. But if you don't, practice these things, if you don't actively find solutions to make these like better habits in your life, if you don't put the time in, you won't see improvements. If I told you to increase your shoulder strength, you need to do plank push-ups alongside your regular push-ups. I could tell you that, and if you don't train it, then you won't get stronger shoulders, will you? You'll know how to do it, but yet you've not achieved that success. So the problem with the question again is it's not so much that it's a bad question; it's the mentality behind the question. I wouldn't worry about that stuff. I think I would be more worried if you're not drawing at least 2 to 3 hours a day that is actively focused on improving. I would be more worried if you don't have that. And if you don't, my best strategy would be at least try 1 hour a day or half an hour a day. Just start something small. Don't do anything large. Don't go full throttle.
Okay, lightning round time. You ready?
Yeah, sorry, that was a little...
Talk too much. Okay. Excuse me. Let's see. Will he be streaming regularly? To be continued to that question. If you weren't able to draw with your hands, lost hands or something, would you try to learn drawing with your feet or completely change the field of job?
Probably learn how to draw my feet.
Yep. All right. Next question. Well, anyways, look at Francis Scythe. That guy lost all mobility in his body, and he learned to draw with his eyes with some program where he wore these black.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Well, there's a way. Why do you like 3D Coat over ZBrush, and how did you find out about 3D Coat?
3D Coat's just a lot more intuitive. Yeah. And then I found out about 3D Coat as I was apprenticed to drama.
Word. And actually, yeah, that's it. That's all we have. Sweet.
Okay. All right. Just to answer the other question, just real quickly about the diet, I eat all vegetables. No, I eat pretty much whole food plant-based diet. Pretty much, I avoid anything that's been made or created from or created by a animal. It's just in terms of why I chose this, no real ethical reason, although the ethical reasons are a bonus, which is great. It was actually for health reasons. I felt crappy all the time, and so I did a lot of research for the last 3 years trying to figure out how to solve this problem. And I realized what it was my diet. After 3 years of, because I wasn't necessarily out of shape, I would work out a lot, and I thought I was eating well, but I wasn't. And so I looked into all kinds of diets. One of these diets that made sense to me was this idea of eating mostly vegetables, or produce rather, not so much just vegetables, just produce in general. And it made sense because if you look at like the aisles, you have like the aisles where everybody's like trying to say, hey, look at my food, like eat me, it's healthy for you. But then you look at the produce aisle and it doesn't say anything. It says like, I'm broccoli, like, you know that I'm good for you. I'm an orange, you know that you should be eating me. I'm an apple, I'm a banana, etc. Right? That made a lot of sense to me, so I started switching my diet to that. And then with that, like with most things, I dig deep and start doing more research, and then discovered the epidemic, which is known as the standard American diet, which is causing a lot of people to suffer from a lot of ailments, even if they're not overweight or obese. And then that got me to basically go to, like, the vegan diet is the best way to explain it, because vegan diet is relatively what it is on the basic level, right? But I wouldn't really consider myself necessarily a vegan, but it's easier to say, yes, I am a vegan. I'd prefer to say I'm just an herbivore. So I eat mostly like vegetables, fruits, starches like rice, potatoes. Yeah, and I mean, vegetables themselves and fruits themselves obviously have an abundance of things you can eat from, and starches too. But really, those are the three simple things I focus on, and that's dramatically helped my health a lot.
Okay. And last two, since we're kind of already over time, can you recommend a book for anatomy? That's easy.
I have a lot of books, so I don't really know. Actually, I used to be able to answer that question. But
Michael Hampton's book. Michael Hampton's book, I think, is pretty solid.
Yeah, that's good. Anatomy for Artists is good. I don't know, man. There's a lot.
Anatomy for the Artist. There's one called like Figure Drawing Invention. It's by Michael Hampton. Yeah, that's a good one. And yeah, I guess we can go back to that. And someone said, AJ, is your flow always 40%?
Green tea. Not always.
Yeah. So there you go. Question answered. All right. I think that was it. Oh, and then was there? That'd be a good question. Is there a book that you may have read for this diet plan that you could possibly give someone interested?
No, I didn't read a book, but I can tell you where you can start if you really are interested. There's 2 TED Talks that you might want to watch, and it might start giving you these aren't the videos that I saw first. I saw a different one, and then all this led to, like I said, to search for these answers. But the first one, write this down for those of you who are, or maybe I can just jump into the Twitch stream for a second. Hold on. Let me just jump in, and I'll just type it myself. Actually, never mind. It's fine. I'll just say it out loud. There's a guy named Neil Bernard. Okay, you want to get that guy TED Talk? Here, I'll write it down. Actually,
Yeah.
Neil Barnard, Dr. Neil Barnard, and then Dr. I believe John McDougall. I think it's a J-O-J in John. If not, just try the other one. McDougall. They're only like 15-20 minutes long each, so if you have about a half an hour to an hour, watch them, and then you'll see why specifically Americans and anyone else who eats the Western American diet are fucking dying. Okay, and so and then that should hopefully lead you down the same rabbit hole that I went down, and then discover that we've been doing it wrong for quite a while. So, anyways, yeah, but like Kaylin said, that's a whole different stream. I'll talk more in depth about it. We'll make it a headline, like why I switched my diet and why it will help you become a better artist, because it will.
Okay. I'm down for that. All right. Yeah, so thank you guys very much for all the questions and for hanging out. Yeah, good amount of showing. Good five. Oh, yeah, like 150 people in here. Right
Nice.
on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing
Yeah.
up.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
y'all.
showing up. Hopefully you just hung out and drew with us and listened and had a good time. Yeah, if you guys ever have any more questions about the mentorships or the boot camp stuff in April, because coming up, we are taking new students, so you can just email us over at um, Robotpencil info, right? Is that what it's
Dot
called?
info.
Robotpencil.info@gmail.com. I'll write it actually, if I can write that.
It's actually floating in the
Yeah.
on the stream. They should be able to see it. It's on the bottom right.
Okay, perfect. And there you guys go. Hit us up, and if you have any questions about that, and we'll be at GDC. So if you are going to be there, we'll probably just follow us on social media, and we'll let you know where we're going to be. Because it's probably going to be random. If we're going to be out and about doing random stuff. So, yeah. Without further ado, we will see you guys